John Templeton, the investor who saw beyond borders. Have you ever wondered how some investors thrive even when the world seems to be crumbling? John Templeton was one of those geniuses. Instead of following the crowd, he challenged trends and bet on markets that no one dared to touch. At a time when pessimism reigned, Templeton saw opportunities. The secret? A rare mix of patience, global vision, and a philosophy contrary to conventional wisdom. Get ready to discover how he turned crises into springboards for success, and why his lessons are more relevant than ever. The background and early steps of John Templeton. John Templeton embodies how curiosity and intelligence can transform an ordinary life into something extraordinary. Born in 1912 in Winchester, Tennessee, he grew up in a time of great challenges, which shaped his resilient character. From an early age, Templeton demonstrated an incredible ability to see beyond the obvious, a trait that would prove essential in his career. Young John was not content to accept things as they were. He wanted to understand the mysteries behind the workings of the market and the global economy. This drive led him to pursue higher education at Yale, where he graduated with honors. During his years at university, Templeton began to apply his knowledge practically, even with limited resources. He learned that the nature of the financial market is cyclical, full of ups and downs, but that opportunities arise precisely in moments of uncertainty. With this mindset, he began his first investments, even amid the Great Depression. Templeton, with an influential and bold outlook, took advantage of the darkest moments of the market to buy undervalued stocks. From these early steps, Templeton developed an innovative investment style that would later be known as contrarian investing, an approach that challenged the status quo. While many fled falling markets, he saw them as fertile ground. In 1939, for example, he took out a loan of $1,000 and bought 100 shares in every company on the New York Stock Exchange that was worth less than $1. This move was incredibly smart, as many of these companies grew substantially after World War II. Templeton's vision was so broad that he did not limit himself to the borders of the United States. He firmly believed in the potential of emerging markets, which was considered a revolutionary attitude at the time. While other investors focused on traditional markets, Templeton explored unknown territories, applying his philosophy in countries whose economies were just beginning to grow. This quest for the extraordinary led him to discover opportunities that others completely overlooked. The launch of the Templeton Growth Fund in 1954 marked the beginning of a historic trajectory. This fund was created with the goal of investing globally and allowing investors to access international markets. The idea was simple yet powerful: geographic diversification to maximize returns and reduce risks. The initiative was a success, attracting investors who believed in the power of innovation and global economic growth. One of the reasons Templeton stood out was his ability to control emotions, a rare trait in the financial market. He understood that fear and euphoria are natural phenomena but can lead investors to make irrational decisions. His method consisted of staying calm during periods of pessimism and acting prudently in moments of excessive optimism. Templeton often said that the best time to buy was when the market was filled with fear, and the best time to sell was when everyone was overly confident. The legacy of John Templeton is not limited to his wealth or his investment methodology. He left an inspiring example of how persistence, combined with a global vision, can transform lives. His influential work shaped the way investors view the world, teaching them to embrace the unknown with courage and seek value where few dare to look. This is just the introduction to a fascinating journey that explores human potential and the capacity to overcome challenges. And, of course, Templeton still had much more to teach about the secrets of the global market. Templeton's contrarian investment style. John Templeton did not follow the crowd. He was, above all, a visionary who saw opportunities where others saw despair. The contrarian style he developed involved investing in neglected or undervalued assets, precisely when the market was consumed by pessimism. Templeton believed that true wealth is built by challenging conventional wisdom, an approach that required courage and careful analysis of global economic phenomena. He knew that the market, by its very nature, is driven by emotions, and it is precisely in this emotional terrain that he found his advantage. One of the most remarkable examples of his approach was during World War II. While many investors fled the market in panic, Templeton did the opposite. He took out a loan of $1,000 and invested in stocks of companies on the brink of bankruptcy. To many, this seemed like madness, but for Templeton, it was a historic opportunity. When the war ended, many of these companies recovered, yielding extraordinary returns. This move demonstrated that acting intelligently, even amid chaos, can yield results beyond expectations. Templeton had a famous saying, "Buy at the point of maximum pessimism and sell at the point of maximum optimism." This mantra, simple in theory, was incredibly difficult to apply in practice. Imagine investing during deep economic crises when most people are desperate to sell. It takes a strong mindset and clear vision to swim against the tide. But Templeton proved repeatedly that it is in moments of greatest uncertainty that the most extraordinary opportunities arise. In addition to buying low, Templeton knew exactly when to exit. He understood that uncontrolled optimism was also a dangerous phenomenon. During economic booms, when everyone wanted to invest, Templeton opted to sell, locking in his profits before the market corrected. This approach protected his investments and maximized returns over time. Templeton not only avoided significant losses, he thrived while others suffered from the impacts of volatility. The practical application of this contrarian style was supported by careful analysis and a deep understanding of the fundamentals of companies. Templeton did not buy stocks simply because they were cheap. He bought them because he saw real value that the market had overlooked. This type of analytical intelligence required hours of research and a clear understanding of the global economic context. He looked beyond the numbers and sought to understand the intrinsic nature of each business. Another fascinating aspect of Templeton was his emotional resilience. In the world of investing, emotions can be treacherous. Templeton, however, remained calm even in extreme situations. He knew that panic was temporary and that recovery was inevitable, as long as the economic fundamentals remained intact. This serenity allowed him to make rational decisions, even when the market seemed on the verge of collapse. Templeton's contrarian philosophy was not just a financial strategy, it was a life lesson. He taught us that difficult moments are inevitable, but it is how we react to them that defines our success. Who would have thought that the greatest challenges could actually be gateways to the most incredible opportunities? With Templeton, we learn that it is possible to thrive even amid chaos, as long as we are willing to see beyond appearances and act with conviction. Templeton and emerging markets. John Templeton was one of the first investors to recognize the potential of emerging markets when few even considered these territories. He believed that true wealth lay in exploring what was undervalued or, better yet, unexplored. This innovative approach led him to look beyond the borders of developed markets, paving the way for a new era of global investments. Instead of focusing solely on Wall Street or Western Europe, Templeton turned his eyes to growing economies in Asia, Latin America, and even Africa, where he saw enormous dormant potential. In the 1960s and 1970s, investing in emerging markets was seen as a risky, almost insane move. However, Templeton had a bold and influential vision. He knew that while these markets presented more volatility, they also offered extraordinary growth opportunities. An example of this was his entry into the Japanese market, long before its economy exploded in the following decades. Templeton identified undervalued Japanese companies and invested heavily in them, reaping incredible results when Japan became a global economic powerhouse. Templeton understood that the nature of emerging markets was marked by political and economic instability, but he saw beyond these barriers. He believed that over time, these countries would inevitably develop, and those who had patience and vision would reap impressive rewards. This approach required not only strategic intelligence, but also a deep understanding of the cultural and social dynamics of each region. Templeton made it a point to travel to these countries, closely observing their economies and exploring the mysteries of their cultures. In addition to identifying investment opportunities, Templeton was also a mentor to other investors. He encouraged them to diversify, asserting that true financial security came from spreading risks globally. His fund, the Templeton Growth Fund, reflected exactly this philosophy. Through it, Templeton offered ordinary investors a chance to participate in the growth of emerging markets, something that had previously been reserved for a select few. This idea was extraordinary for the time and forever changed how investors viewed the world. A fundamental aspect of his approach was the focus on the long term. Templeton believed that investing in emerging markets was like planting seeds in fertile soil, but it required patience. He knew that the fruits would come, but not immediately. This long-term commitment, combined with his innovative vision, brought impressive returns for him and his investors. He reminds us that sometimes it takes courage to wait, especially when the path seems uncertain. Templeton also challenged the traditional mindset that only developed markets were safe and profitable. He proved that emerging markets, when well analyzed, could offer returns even greater than established markets. This vision not only revolutionized the investment world, but also helped foster economic growth in previously neglected regions. It is a powerful reminder of how investment can be a force for global good. Finally, Templeton's work with emerging markets opened doors for other investors to follow in his footsteps. Today, investing in these markets is common, but it was Templeton who paved the way. He showed us that, with the right mindset, we can find incredible opportunities where others only see risks. But his journey was far from over, and he still had much to teach about the art of investing wisely and courageously. The philosophy of investment based on global diversification. John Templeton firmly believed that global diversification was the key to long-term financial success. In his view, concentrating investments in a single market or sector was like putting all your eggs in one basket, an unnecessary risk. He knew that the nature of financial markets was uncertain, and to protect against regional crises, it was essential to spread investments across different geographies. This approach not only reduced risks, but also opened doors to extraordinary opportunities in various corners of the world. Templeton argued that diversification was not just a defensive strategy, but also an intelligent way to capture growth. Economies at different stages of development offer distinct growth cycles, allowing investors to participate in multiple economic booms. For instance, while the United States faced economic challenges in the 1970s, Templeton was already reaping significant profits in Japan and other Asian markets. This influential mindset ensured that he and his investors were never trapped in a single economic destiny. For Templeton, diversification went beyond simply distributing resources across different countries. He believed in the importance of investing in a wide range of sectors and types of assets. This approach ensured that, regardless of the conditions of a specific market, there would always be a part of his portfolio generating positive results. Templeton explored everything from traditional stocks to less conventional assets, such as commodities and emerging companies. His ability to see value in different types of investments was remarkable and widely admired. One of Templeton's most incredible lessons is that global diversification is not a concept exclusive to large investors or financial institutions. Anyone with proper planning can implement this strategy in their financial life. Today, with the ease of accessing global funds and ETFs, it is possible to invest in international markets with small amounts. Templeton was a pioneer in this sense, democratizing access to global investments through his funds. He also understood that diversification helped mitigate the impact of unexpected economic phenomena, such as recessions or financial crises. When one market faces difficulties, others may be prospering, thereby balancing the overall portfolio. A practical example of this was during the Asian financial crisis of the 1990s. While many investors suffered significant losses, those who followed Templeton's principles of global diversification managed to minimize damage and even find new opportunities in other markets. Templeton believed that the world was a place full of mysteries and potential, and that limiting oneself to a single region was wasting that potential. He viewed each country as a piece of the great global puzzle, and investing in multiple markets was a way to benefit from the collective growth of the world economy. This mentality not only expanded his own success, but also inspired generations of investors to think more broadly and strategically. Ultimately, Templeton always emphasized that global diversification was a long-term strategy. He knew that returns would not come immediately, but with patience and a clear vision, the results would be extraordinary. His philosophy teaches us that security and financial growth come from seeing beyond borders and embracing the economic diversity of the planet. And of course, he still had much more to share about the art of investing wisely and insightfully. The importance of emotional discipline in investments. For John Templeton, investing was more than a matter of technique or knowledge. It was an exercise in emotional discipline. He understood that the financial market is governed by cycles of euphoria and fear, and that the ability to remain calm amid these extremes was crucial for success. Templeton often said that investors are frequently their own worst enemies, succumbing to emotions and making hasty decisions. His intelligent approach was simple yet powerful. Ignore short-term fluctuations and focus on the long-term horizon. Templeton believed that fear was one of the most destructive forces in the investment world. When markets fall, the natural reaction is to panic and sell to minimize losses. But he saw these moments of pessimism as extraordinary opportunities to buy undervalued assets. Instead of going with the flow, Templeton remained calm and analyzed situations with a cold, calculated perspective. He knew that periods of crisis were temporary, and those who resisted the urge to sell would be rewarded in the future. On the other hand, Templeton also warned against the dangers of unchecked optimism during economic booms. It is common for investors to be swept away by euphoria, buying assets at inflated prices. Templeton, however, did the opposite. He understood that the cyclical nature of markets meant that periods of rampant growth would be followed by corrections. Thus, he took advantage of these moments to sell and consolidate his profits, once again showcasing his ability to act against the current. A famous example of his emotional discipline was during the market crash in 1987, known as Black Monday. While many investors panicked, Templeton remained calm and saw it as an opportunity to buy stocks at discounted prices. He knew that even amid a historical crisis, the economic fundamentals of leading companies remained solid. His bold move proved correct, as the market quickly recovered in the following months, bringing significant returns for his investors. Templeton also highlighted the importance of having a plan and rigorously following it, regardless of external circumstances. He believed that every investor should have a clear strategy based on long-term goals, and that this strategy should serve as a guide in times of uncertainty. A practical example would be to define a diversified portfolio and review it periodically, but never make impulsive changes motivated by the heat of the moment. Discipline, for Templeton, was as important a virtue as financial knowledge itself. Templeton's emotional resilience was not innate. It was cultivated over years of experience and study. He understood that economic phenomena are complex and that no one can predict market behavior with absolute precision. But he believed that by maintaining a balanced and focused mind, any investor could overcome challenges and seize opportunities that arise even amid chaos. His philosophy resonated with the idea that, in the end, it is the mindset that differentiates great investors from the rest. Templeton's approach is a powerful reminder that, in the financial world, emotions can be both an ally and an enemy. Learning to control them is an essential skill for anyone looking to thrive in this unpredictable environment. And, of course, Templeton's journey still holds more lessons on how to turn challenges into brilliant opportunities. Templeton's philosophy on humility and continuous learning. John Templeton always believed that humility was an indispensable quality for any successful investor. He asserted that no matter how experienced someone was, the market always had something new to teach. Templeton viewed investing as a constantly evolving field, full of mysteries and unexpected phenomena. His insatiable curiosity led him to continuously study, analyzing different markets and strategies. For him, continuous learning was not only a competitive advantage, but a fundamental necessity. One of the most extraordinary aspects of Templeton's philosophy was his willingness to admit mistakes. He knew that even the smartest investors were prone to making wrong decisions. Instead of being discouraged, Templeton saw mistakes as learning opportunities. He carefully analyzed them to understand what went wrong and how he could avoid making the same missteps in the future. This level of self-criticism was one of his greatest strengths, allowing him to grow continuously even after decades of success. Templeton also emphasized the importance of seeking new perspectives and questioning established beliefs. He believed that the investment world was dynamic and that strategies that worked yesterday might not be effective tomorrow. Therefore, he was always open to innovation, exploring new approaches and markets. A practical example of this was his bet on emerging markets, an idea that few considered at the time. His open-mindedness allowed him to discover opportunities that others overlooked. Another essential point in his philosophy was the value of learning from others. Templeton not only studied books and reports, he also conversed with other investors, economists, and business leaders to understand their perspectives. He knew that collective intelligence could offer insights that no individual mind could achieve alone. This collaborative approach was one of his most influential strategies, helping him make more informed and balanced decisions. Templeton also believed in the power of practical knowledge. He encouraged investors not just to study theories, but to apply their learnings in the real world. He often said that the market was the best teacher because it offered immediate and tangible lessons. Anyone wanting to become a successful investor needed to be willing to experiment, make mistakes, and, above all, learn from each experience. Templeton's humility was reflected even in his personal life. Despite being one of the most successful investors of his time, he lived simply and valued human connections above all else. He believed that success was not measured only in financial terms, but also in the ability to positively impact the lives of others. This holistic vision was a constant reminder that learning and personal growth were just as important as financial progress. Ultimately, Templeton taught us that the journey of knowledge never ends. He viewed each day as a new opportunity to learn something amazing, whether about the market or about oneself. And of course, throughout his journey, he would continue to surprise us with valuable lessons on how to thrive in a constantly changing world. Templeton's legacy of generosity and philanthropy. John Templeton was not only a brilliant investor, he also deeply believed in the power of using wealth for good. His vision of success went beyond financial returns. True fulfillment for him came from helping others and leaving a positive impact on the world. Templeton dedicated a significant part of his life and fortune to philanthropy, funding causes that promoted human progress. His extraordinary generosity reflected the same intelligence and strategic vision he applied to investments. One of the hallmarks of his philanthropic work was the creation of the Templeton Prize, one of the most prestigious awards in the world. This prize, which even surpasses the Nobel Prize in value, recognizes individuals who have made extraordinary contributions to the advancement of spirituality and human understanding. Templeton believed that spiritual growth was just as important as intellectual and economic growth. He wanted to encourage research and initiatives that explored the mysteries of the universe and human nature, opening doors to deeper understanding. In addition, Templeton was a great supporter of educational and scientific causes. He believed that knowledge was one of the most powerful tools for transforming lives and communities. Through the John Templeton Foundation, he funded research on topics ranging from quantum physics to ethical and philosophical issues. His innovative vision of philanthropy focused on areas that were often overlooked but had the potential to provoke historical and influential changes. Templeton was also an advocate of optimism. He believed that human nature had incredible potential for evolution and that, with the right tools, people could overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges. Therefore, he encouraged initiatives that promoted mental and emotional well-being, helping individuals develop resilience and find purpose in their lives. His comprehensive approach showed that true prosperity included not only financial wealth, but also mental and spiritual health. Another notable characteristic of his philanthropy was his humility. Templeton never sought personal recognition for his donations and preferred to remain in the background. He believed that generosity should be guided by a genuine desire to make a difference, not by the pursuit of status or accolades. This quiet commitment to philanthropy was an extension of his life philosophy, always focused on contributing to the greater good. The impact of Templeton extended far beyond his lifetime. The initiatives he supported continue to influence millions of people around the world. His foundation remains active, funding projects that seek answers to some of humanity's most complex questions. Templeton showed us that wealth, when used purposefully, can be a powerful force for social and human progress. In summary, Templeton's legacy is a reminder that true success is not measured only by what we accumulate, but by what we give back to the world. He inspires us to think more broadly about our responsibilities and opportunities. And of course, his journey of generosity is just one piece of the vast puzzle that was his extraordinary life. The role of patience and long-term perspective in Templeton's success. John Templeton firmly believed that patience was one of the most important virtues for any investor. He often said that the market rewards those who have a long-term perspective and the discipline to maintain their investments, even in times of uncertainty. Templeton knew that economic phenomena and market cycles were not instantaneous. They required time to unfold. This influential perspective helped him build a fortune while others, eager for quick gains, often ended up empty-handed. For Templeton, the long term was not just an investment strategy, but a philosophy of life. He understood that companies needed time to grow, just as emerging economies required decades to develop. This did not mean he ignored short-term market signals. On the contrary, he used them to identify opportunities. However, once he made his investments, he knew that patience would be his greatest ally in reaping extraordinary results. A notable example of his approach was his investment in the Japanese market during the 1960s. At that time, Japan was still recovering from the devastating effects of World War II. Many investors avoided the Japanese market, considering it risky and unpredictable. However, Templeton saw incredible growth potential and invested heavily. His patience was rewarded in the following decades when Japan became one of the world's most powerful economies, providing historic returns. Templeton also believed that patience was crucial during periods of crisis. In times of widespread pessimism, many investors panicked and sold their assets. Templeton, however, did the opposite. He saw these moments as opportunities to buy stocks at low prices and waited for the inevitable recovery. His ability to remain calm and wait for the right moment was a powerful differentiator, allowing him to thrive where others failed. Another fascinating aspect of his philosophy was the idea that time was on the side of disciplined investors. He often said that it was not necessary to predict market movements with precision. What mattered was having the patience to wait for the economic cycle to complete. Templeton knew that markets are inherently resilient and that over time, they tend to recover and grow. This belief allowed him to face periods of volatility with confidence and serenity. Templeton also taught that patience was not an excuse for inaction. He believed that investors should be proactive, constantly analyzing and adjusting their portfolios based on changes in economic fundamentals. The difference lay in resisting the urge to make changes based solely on emotions or short-term fluctuations. This balanced approach ensured that he remained on track even amid market pressures. Ultimately, Templeton viewed patience as a catalyst for success not only in investments, but in all areas of life. He reminds us that, in a world obsessed with immediate results, there is incredible power in being patient and trusting the process. But of course, there is still much more to learn about the combination of vision and strategy that guided his brilliant career. Templeton's spiritual and philosophical vision of life. John Templeton was not only a master of finance, he was also deeply connected to spirituality and philosophy. He believed that material success needed to align with a higher purpose, something that transcended financial gains. For Templeton, the quest for answers to the great mysteries of human existence was as important as the pursuit of investment opportunities. His curiosity about the nature of the universe and the role of humanity within it shaped his worldview and, in some ways, even influenced his financial decisions. Templeton had an optimistic and expansive view of life. He believed that human potential was limitless and that spiritual evolution was a fundamental aspect of progress. This influential vision led him to create the Templeton Prize, which recognizes extraordinary contributions to the advancement of spirituality. He believed that spiritual understanding and science were not in conflict, but rather engaged in a continuous dialogue. Templeton saw both as complementary paths to unraveling the deeper phenomena of existence. For Templeton, the practice of gratitude was essential. He believed that recognizing the blessings of life, big or small, opened doors to more abundance and growth. This philosophy reflected in his personal and professional life. Templeton was known to start each day with a list of things he was grateful for. He viewed gratitude as a way to align the mind and spirit, creating a state of resilience and optimism. He believed that a grateful mind was more creative and capable of finding innovative solutions to life's challenges. Another central point of his spiritual vision was the idea that learning never ends. Templeton saw life as a continuous journey of growth, where each experience, whether success or failure, offers valuable lessons. He often said that every challenge faced is an opportunity to expand understanding and wisdom. This approach kept him humble and open to new ideas, even after achieving extraordinary success. Templeton also believed in the importance of serving others. He viewed wealth as a tool for creating positive impact in the world. Therefore, a large portion of his fortune was dedicated to philanthropic causes, especially those that promoted spiritual and intellectual well-being. He believed that by investing in the growth and development of others, he was contributing to the collective advancement of humanity. This altruistic philosophy was a natural extension of his holistic view of life. Templeton's spirituality was not tied to a specific religion, but rather to a universal quest for truth and understanding. He encouraged people to explore their own spiritual journeys without prejudice or limitations. Templeton believed that spirituality was an internal resource that everyone could cultivate, regardless of their beliefs or backgrounds. He viewed the spiritual connection as a path to achieving a state of inner peace and mental clarity. Ultimately, Templeton's spiritual vision teaches us that true success goes beyond numbers and material achievements. It is about finding purpose, cultivating gratitude, and continually seeking personal and collective growth. But his story does not end here. There are still more layers of wisdom and insights to explore about his life and legacy. The lasting impact of Templeton's legacy in the investment world. The legacy of John Templeton remains a powerful and enduring force in the financial world. Even after his death, his teachings and philosophies continue to shape the way investors think and act. His contrarian approach and belief in the potential of emerging markets redefine what it means to be a global investor. He proved that the greatest opportunities arise precisely in moments of uncertainty, and that financial success is built with vision, patience, and courage. Templeton left more than a fortune. He left a manual on how to navigate the complex world of investments. Templeton inspired a generation of investors to challenge conventional thinking. Today, many of the principles he advocated, such as investing in times of pessimism and diversifying globally, are widely accepted fundamentals. However, at the time he began, these ideas were seen as risky and contrary to popular wisdom. His extraordinary intelligence and vision allowed him to see beyond the immediate, anticipating trends that others would only recognize years later. His influence extends not only to individual investors, but also to major financial institutions that have adopted his strategies. In addition to his practical contributions, Templeton also had a profound philosophical impact. He believed that financial markets reflected human nature with all its flaws and virtues. Therefore, He always emphasized the importance of understanding human emotions and behaviors when investing. His legacy reminds us that success in investing is not just a matter of numbers, but also of understanding the psychological phenomena that shape the market. His foundation, the John Templeton Foundation, is a notable example of how he combined his passions for finance and spirituality. Continuing his work, the foundation supports research in areas such as science, philosophy, and religion, exploring profound questions about the nature of reality and human purpose. This commitment to advancing knowledge reflects his belief that learning and curiosity should be applied in all aspects of life, not just in business. Templeton's impact can also be seen in the evolution of global markets. Today, the idea of investing in emerging markets and diversifying internationally is widely accepted. However, it was Templeton who first popularized this approach, demonstrating that economic growth was not limited to developed nations. He helped open investors' eyes to the incredible possibilities that existed outside traditional markets, paving the way for a new era of investments. More than that, Templeton left a powerful example of how success can be used to benefit the world. He showed that true wealth comes from contributing to collective well-being, whether through philanthropy or sharing knowledge. His life is a testament that, with vision and purpose, it is possible to achieve the extraordinary and impact future generations. Templeton taught us that ultimately, the value of a life is not measured only by what we accumulate, but by the legacy we leave behind. Templeton's lasting impact is a constant reminder that the investment world is not just a game of capital, but an arena of ideas and principles. He showed that, with courage and vision, it is possible to turn challenges into opportunities and leave a legacy that resonates for decades. And so, his story continues to inspire those who seek not only financial prosperity, but also personal growth and meaningful contributions to society. Now that you know the philosophy and strategies of John Templeton, the question remains, what are you doing to achieve your own success? Templeton showed us that it is possible to thrive even in times of uncertainty, as long as we have courage, vision, and patience. How about starting to apply these principles in your life? Think about how you can diversify your investments, challenge popular wisdom, and maintain emotional discipline. If you like what you learned, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue discovering the secrets of the greatest investors in history. Your journey to the extraordinary begins now.